One of the most beloved comic book characters and my favorite superhero is Spider-Man. Even though I loved this character immensely when I was a child, I did not play many games featuring him. Still, it feels good to know that the ones I did play were amongst one of the best games ever released in those years. Spider-Man 2 is one of those rare movie tie-in games that redefined what licensed games could be. Released in 2004, the same year as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 film, this game arrived at a time when most movie-based games were rushed products designed to cash in on a release window. Instead, Spider-Man 2 became the benchmark not only for superhero games, but for open-world design and traversal mechanics that developers are still referencing today. The game launched on June 29 in 2004 across an unusual wide range of platforms for its time. Player could experience it on PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, Microsoft Windows, and Game Boy Advance, with additional versions arriving later for N-Gage, Nintendo DS, and PlayStation Portable. While Activision published every version, development responsibilities were split. Treyarch handled the main console releases, which would become the defining versions, while other studios developed the handheld and PC adaptations. The division would result in dramatic different experiences depending on the platform, something that becomes both strength and weaknesses for the Spider-Man 2 name. At its core, Spider-Man 2 follows the events of 2004 film, but it's not a strict retelling. Set 2 years after the original Spider-Man story, the game focuses on Peter Parker's ongoing struggles to balancing his ordinary life with the intense responsibility of being Spider-Man. His personal relationships are strained, his academy life suffers, and a weight of being a hero begins to take a visible toll. This theme, central to the film, is expanded in the game through original missions, side activities, and additional villains drawn from the Spider-Man-wide rogue gallery. The main antagonist is Otto Octavius, Peter's mentor and respected nuclear scientist working on fusion-powered experiments supported by Oscorp. His goal is ambitious and noble on the surface, to create a clean, limitless energy source for Manhattan. To safely handle the experiment, Octavius used a harness equipped with 4 advanced robotic arms controlled by artificial intelligence. During a public demonstration attended by Peter Parker and Harry Osborn, a catastrophic power surge destabilized the reactor. Refusing to shut it down, Octavius caused an explosion that kills his wife and destroyed the inhibitor chip that prevented the arms from influencing his mind. Peter, acting as Spider-Man, managed to stop the reactor, but the damage was done. The arms began to dominate Octavius' thoughts, transforming him into Dr. Octopus. The console version placed the player in a fully open world recreated of Manhattan, including Roosevelt Island, Ellis Island, and Liberty Island. The city is not just a backdrop, it's a living environment filled with pedestrians who actively requires help, crime that breaks out dynamically, and emergencies that demand immediate attention. Being a Spider-Man is not just limited to scripted missions, it is a constant responsibility. Player progress through the story in chapters, each with specific objectives. These may involve completing story missions, earning hero points by helping civilians, or purchasing upgrades to improve Spider-Man abilities. Side missions are given directly by people on the street and include stopping robbers, chasing down speeding vehicles, rescuing injured civilians, saving construction workers from deadly falls, and responding to city-wide threats. Ignoring these calls for help has consequences, as public opinion of Spider-Man can suffer, reinforcing the theme that heroism is about presence as much as power. The defining feature of Spider-Man 2, and the reason it remains so legendary, is its web-swinging system. Unlike previous Spider-Man games, where swimming felt closer to flying or jumping, Spider-Man 2 included a fully physics-based approach. Web needed to be attached to an actual buildings, and your momentum did matter. Swinging too low and you're risking slamming into traffic. Release too late and you lose speed. Mastery of movement became a skill in itself, and traversal transforms into pure joy. This single mechanic fundamentally changed expectation of superhero mobility in games. Combat in Spider-Man 2 also saw significant improvement. Fighting is more deliberate and time-based, requiring players to chain combos, dodge attacks, and use Spider-Man's spider sense ability to slow time and evade incoming threats, including gunfire. Encounters feel dynamic, especially when battles split across rooftop, walls, and moving vehicles. After completing the main story, players unlock a bonus mode set in a warehouse, allowing them to fight waves of enemies and bosses, including Calypso, an exclusive villain who did not make it into the main narrative. While the console version were widely praised, the same could not be said for every platform. The Microsoft Windows version, developed separately, abandoned the open world structure entirely. Instead, it presented a level-based beat-em-up experience. While web swinging existed, it was heavily restricted, with web attaching only to predefined points floating in the sky. Combat relied on combos and charged power moves, but absence of the true open world made this version feel disconnected from what made Spider-Man 2 special. As a result, it received largely negative reviews. The PlayStation Portable version took a different approach entirely by reusing the engine from the 2002 Spider-Man game. This meant familiar mechanics, reused environments, and a scoring system that graded players at the end of each level. While web swinging and wall crawling returned, movement was even more limited, with Spider-Man often restricted to the straight line motion. The experience felt more like an expansion of the first game than a true sequel. Narratively, the console version stands as the most complete interpretation of the Spider-Man 2 story. Alongside Dr. Octopus, player encounters villains like Rhino, Mysterio, Shocker, and Black Cat. Black Cat in particular plays a key role, acting both as an ally and a temptation. She challenges Spider-Man's commitment to his civilian life, encouraging him to abandon Peter Parker entirely and embrace being Spider-Man full-time. This emotional conflict adds depth to the story and reinforces the central theme of sacrifice. Mysterio's presence really stands out. His mission feels like a stage show, full of illusions, scripted challenges, and a big public attack on famous places like Statue of Liberty. This part breaks away from the usual crime fighting and adds more spectacle and mind games, which fits the character perfectly. The most emotional moment comes during the subway train sequence, taken straight from the movie but made stronger through the gameplay. Spider-Man fights Dr. Octopus on the roof of speeding train until Octavius destroys the controls. Spider-Man is forced to save the passengers at the cost of his own life, nearly dying in the process. When he is unmasked in front of regular people, it becomes one of the game's most powerful scenes. Later, when Harry Osborn learns Spider-Man's true identity, the story becomes even more personal, raising the stakes for the final showdown. In the climax, Spider-Man confronts Dr. Octopus at his waterfront laboratory as the fusion reactor threatens to destroy the city. After defeating him, Peter reveals his identity and appeals to Octavius' humanity. Realizing the devastation he has caused, Octavius sacrifices himself to destroy the reactor, allowing Spider-Man to save Mary Jane. By the end, Mary Jane fully accepts Peter's double life, choosing to stand by him despite the danger, and the game closes on the note of hope mixed with uncertainty. Behind the scenes, Spider-Man 2 development is just as fascinating as the game itself. Development began at Tri-Arch shortly after the success of 2002 Spider-Man game. Designer Jamie Fristrom was dissatisfied with the earlier web swinging mechanics and pushed for more realistic system inspired by the game Rocket Jockey. Early prototypes were difficult as manually replacing swinging points through the city was impractical. The breakthrough came with the implementing of raycasting, allowing the game to dynamically detect attaching points on the buildings. This innovation made the open world swinging possible. The game open world structure was heavily inspired and influenced by Grand Theft Auto 3. However, time constraints forced the team to cut significant amount of content. Planned bosses such as Lizard, Scorpion and Kraven the Hunter, as well as fully explorable sewer system were removed. Calypso survived only as a post-game boss, while the other villains would later appear in the Spider-Man 3. Looking back, Spider-Man 2 isn't remembered as just another movie tie-in game. It remembered because it actually understood Spider-Man. Swinging around the city felt great, protecting New York felt like your job, and the game wasn't afraid to show you that being a hero comes with consequences. This was years before open-world superhero games became the norm, yet Spider-Man 2 already figured it out. Even today, you can see its DNA in every Spider-Man game that lets you swing across New York skyline. Before making this review, I never knew that there were two types of Spider-Man games, and I played the worst one, PC version. And only years later I played PS2 version on emulator, and I can truly say that I understand why it was one of the best Spider-Man games. Thanks for watching and see you another time.